Okay. So I want to welcome everyone for attending tonight's session. We have the BPPR Circle Education sessions every first Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. My name is Valerie Smith. I am the D103 PR manager, and it's just a pleasure of having individuals here who are BPPRs, and we also have guests. So everyone is not a BPPR, but they're here to learn what you can do with your BPPR role. And then if you're double duty, like some clubs, there are some leaders who are taking on two roles. So I do value you being here. Tonight, we have a special guest. Sheila Eatons-Brown, she is on the PR team. She is our constant contact designer. And so for a living, she is also a digital marketing strategist. So she's an entrepreneur as well. So, as we're waiting for Sheila, I just want to get like some emojis of those who are BPPRs. Just to see who's in the room. Give me thumbs up or whatever. And then those who gives me thumbs up, I know that everyone is a guest. All right, we got Don Williams, he's a VPPR. And all right, this is great, And sometimes it's really great to have individuals who are not VPPRs just to see what a VPPR does, and then how you can really expand when you're talking about putting the word out for your club. So now that we have Sheila here, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background about Sheila. Of course, now you know that she's part of the D103 PR team. Sheila Eatons-Brown is a digital marketing strategist. She's certified in social media consultant, and she's a speaker working with small businesses to utilize email and social media marketing for business growth success. She is also a certified constant contact consultant and Honeybook system educator. Sheila returned to Toastmasters in 2016 to refine and refresh her speaking and leadership skills for business and personal growth. Sheila has served as club secretary, VP of membership, mentored, and currently the VP of education. The benefits of being a Toastmaster, she said, is many. However, the most important value is being confident in her speaking abilities and learning skills that has enhanced Sheila's business growth. So I would like to welcome Sheila Eatons-Brown, who will be presenting to us on digital marketing strategy. Welcome, Sheila. Oh, you're on mute. Uh-oh.
Thank you, Valerie. I am so happy to be here. Looking forward to imparting the little information that I have, and hopefully to be able to help someone else. I do have a PowerPoint that I will share with us also. But I just want to welcome each of our VPPRs, and even those that may not be, just welcome this evening. Thank you, Valerie, for introducing me. I know that there are a few people here that I know. I have to apologize for my voice because I know it's scary right now, but I had surgery earlier. So I'm still up under that anesthesia, but I'm gonna do this. Okay. Valerie, how many VPPRs did we have? Did you get the emojis?
I believe it was like one, but if we have any other VPPRs in here, if you can just mention if you are a VPPR.
But that's okay because everybody can take part.
Yes, exactly.
So that's fine. But as I said, as Valerie said, I actually do digital marketing from my home. I have a home-based business, And I've been home based now for over 20 some years. Thank God for that. He's blessed me with that. So I enjoy what I do. I came back to Toastmasters. I was in Toastmasters many, many years ago, but I came back because I wanted to be able to up my speaking skills, because not only was I a business owner, but I'm also a minister and an elder. So I wanted to make sure that I am able to speak. So I'm still learning. I'm still working on it, which I know that we all are. So let's get started, Valerie. I'm going to start my presentation. Digital outreach. Digital outreach, or also marketing, needs a leader, and it needs someone that's grounded in their foundation. There is the learning curve for all of us, whether you start in the beginning or whether you go to school. Even if you've gone to school when you come out, it's still a learning curve, because you have to take what you've learned and implement it. But in our clubs, we may have a lot of people that are not and have not worked in marketing or doing any of this Facebooking, as my grandmother called it, Facebooking, or using some of the other medias. So it's a learning curve, and it's still a learning curve for me with the way that our social media is changing. You know, that now that Twitter has been bought by Elon Musk, we don't know what changes is going to be with that and how we're going to have to relearn it. I know that they were saying that businesses, and I don't know if it would include nonprofits, that he's also thinking about charging you to be on Twitter if you have a business. But we'll see what comes out of that. So
Sheila, I'm so sorry. I didn't know if you wanted to have your PowerPoint as a slide.
Right, I will start it.
Oh, okay.
I can do it now.
Oh, okay.
I just hate that it takes over my screen. All right. So our Toastmasters clubs can no longer go without a digital strategy and without using what's out there for us in order to reach others. Because I like that we have the dual membership going on right now, where we're talking about joining other clubs and bringing others in. But it's imperative also that we also reach out to those that are outside of our clubs too. So it's imperative that we become just as effective as other organizations that are using digital media for communication and club building. So this evening, we're gonna talk about building a foundation, and also what does digital marketing consist of? We know that a lot of it is social media, and social media has made a significant impact on how brands, customers, organizations, businesses interact with each other using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, we know YouTube, Snapchat, even TikTok now, and are all spaces that we share and use to showcase who we are, to showcase how unique we are, and also to reach others that's looking for what we have. So taking the first step to start using social media, to market your small business, I know can be overwhelming. You may not know, or you're looking to find out which platform would be best for you. How do you build a following? How do you interact with your clients or your customers or the new club members? And not only am I gonna have to deal with others, I also need to know how to manage everything and manage it in an efficient way. So what you want to do is think about your social media strategy, how you're going to reach out to others, which is one of the most effective ways to do that. And we want to make the most of social media. We need a detailed plan. And I know that you're probably sitting there thinking that, why would I need after all, some of us may say, well, this is just something that I'm doing to better myself or to pass time. So why would I need to have a plan? But you came into Toastmasters for a reason. And we know that Toastmasters is also not only about speaking, but it's about leadership. So we're not only are we learning to speak and how to speak, but we're also learning leadership habits that we can take these habits, well, I won't say habits, but what we learn, we can take them from here and use them on our jobs also. Or maybe you want to have your own business and you will need to be able to market yourself. So it will carry on, not on to what you're doing now, but also into your business. Even if we know that even now church ministries are going digital because of the COVID and those things that we've had in the past. So there's lots of reasons why we want to make sure that we understand and that we are using our digital media correctly, because good communication is what we want to do when we are communicating to our audience. And as I said before, we may also feel that we know how to use our social media platforms. We may think because we are sharing, and how many of us have a Facebook account that we're on every day using for other than Facebook? Some of us do. And how many of us actually use our Facebook or whatever social media you're on to share what's going on with your club? And a few of us probably do that too, but our personal Facebook can also be used to share and to let others know about Toastmasters and what we're doing in it. So we need to also know how to write, well, that's one of our goals. How would I write my posts? What am I going to say in those posts? So these are some of the things that we want to talk about this evening, and be able to go back and put them together. Now, Valerie, I wanted to send you the workbook. I do have a workbook that I was working on, so I didn't get that completed, but I wouldn't by Monday. I'm going to make sure that you have that, and everybody will get a workbook that they can use to outline with their clubs and put together their social media strategy.
That's great. Thank you, Sheila.
So it is essential, you're welcome, Valerie, that you not only communicate clearly, but that we also take the time to understand who our audience is. It does not matter if you know or you think you know what they are, but what you want to do is to be able to put yourself in those people that you want to reach, shoes in your audience. You want to be able to speak to them in the way that you know that, well, you want to speak to them knowing what their hurts are or their needs are. Why would they join and come into Toastmasters? Why would they join my club? So you want to speak to them with words that will enable them to understand and to connect with the message that you have and you want to get out. One of the things that we know is that we must speak the language of the platform and recognize the expectations of the people that we are trying to reach. We need to know what the norms are for those people that will become a part of our club. We need to also be able to, at times, speak to the culture that they are used to, of the people we are communicating to. And we can't do this without research. So it is work being a social media manager. It is work putting together a digital strategy. It is work keeping up with it, and Valerie can attest to that. It's work, but it's well worth it. So let's put ourselves in our future members' shoes and speak to them accordingly. Remember, empathy first. We need to have a way with words, and these words need to be able to connect so that they will understand us and that we will understand them. We must speak the language of each person. We must not forget that. We must use research using the words and intentions that will capture their thoughts and their needs, and being able to want to say, I want to be a part of your club. There is a saying that we all know, a marketing rule of thumb, that if you try to reach everyone all of the time, you end up reaching no one. So we want to reach out and we want to include everyone. That should be our ultimate goal. However, we also know that trying to reach everyone and using one approach ends up really making our message cheap and not reaching anyone. We've spread, when we started doing this, trying to reach everyone, that means that the efforts that we are putting into our message also makes it spread too thin. So it's not going to impact the way that we would want it to. So we want to have a standard message, and we want to remember that we cannot reach everyone all of the time. It's excuse me, it's vital that we understand who our audience is before we create our context. Each person, if we're looking at a business, if we're looking at organizations, each of them is equipped and positioned to react differently to different types of people. So it is vital to understand, once again, who our audience is. It is vital that the message that we write is something that will touch them where they are. When we write a single social media post, or if we spend any money, or if we're spending money and content to reach our audience, we need to be able to reach them effectively, no matter what their age, gender, ethnicity, location. We want to be able to reach them in the way that they know how. That means that in order for us to do that as marketers, that we have to put aside any assumptions, any judgments that we have. Too often, what we do is we will step out and create a post or a program that's based on our interests and our passion, not doing any type of research on those that we want to reach. Sometimes we also end up writing messages according to what we think the people need, according to our perspective, which we don't want to do. We want to use the audience factor to determine how to reach them, what it is that what makeup do they have. We're going to reach on that a little bit today also. So if you're not sure where to start, what you want to do is start spending more time with your target audience. And then you want to ask more questions. You want to find out directly from them what they need, what they feel will improve their lives, and what will inspire them to join your club. To reach people, we have to become a student of their culture. And what that means, no judgment, only acceptance, but also remember that acceptance does not mean approval. No one should know more about your audience than you do. You must become an expert on the people that you want to reach. So we're going to, before I move on, I don't know if there's a question or something, because we're going to go over into how to create a successful social media marketing strategy. And here I want you to interact when we get to this part of it. Also, before I move on, any questions, comments? All right. creating a successful social media marketing strategies. Our social media platform offers and gives us many opportunities to grow and to make an impact by creating a reliable brand personality and connecting with those that we want to reach out to become members of our clubs. A good strategy can help you maximize the platforms you use. Achieve set goals, rely on a strong step-by-step plan, and manage your social media activities. So one of the first things that we want to do is set specific and measurable goals. We want to start by setting objectives that will align with our overall goals for our club. We can have one or more goals that are achievable, measurable, and would be relevant to our clubs. But we also know that it's best to set one large goal for everything you do on social media. And we'll talk about some of the goals as we get further that you may have for your club. So let's say that at this point, your club may have decided that you need X amount for, let's say, 4 new members. You need to have a goal centered around how you are going to set up your platform. How are you going to reach your people? So there are certain things that we're going to talk about when we're going to talk about how to understand your target market audience and what you need to go out and do to reach that audience that you're looking for. We can also use social media for measurements of our goals too. And I'll just touch on that right quick, but we can use the tools to find out when we are working out posts, when we are posting on a regular schedule, even when we're not posting on a regular schedule, we can always use some of these tools, such as, let's say that you want to know, if we want to know how many people actually clicked on our site. That's called click-through rate. You'll be able to do that. If I want to know the percentage of the people who actually looked at my site, or if I'm doing an ad or something, a Facebook ad, how many people actually clicked on that ad and how many people actually joined from seeing that ad. That's called the conversion rate. But then we're also able to find out how many actually clicked but left without doing anything, which is the bounce rate. So these are all part of things that we want to use, excuse me, and for setting our goals, whatever those goals may be. The next item that we have listed is that we want to understand our target audience, that when we are creating and looking for our audience, we want to take the time, we need to take the time, we have to take the time to understand the unique characteristics of our audience, of those that we want to join our club. You need to have a awareness of who they are. And once you have an awareness, and once you are able to identify those characteristics, this can help you convert your people or your followers into club members. So what we want to do is start by creating a audience profile, which is often called the persona, audience persona. This profile is going to describe your typical customers or club members. It includes everything from the gender, age group, are they in your area, maybe even occupation, and what it is that they actually want to do. What you need to understand, why would they join your club? Is there a felt need that is bringing them to your club? So what I'm saying is that you want to picture your people as being real people. A lot of times we look at our audience, we also look at them as being Well, they're just there and I'm just reaching out to them, but are we looking at them as people? So that's what we want to do. This helps to personalize our social media marketing, but it also makes an impact on those that are watching our wherever I message, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever. It also shows them that I have an understanding of who you are. And when they can make that click with you, they're more likely to want to join and come over to your club. Also, by using the right social media tools, it's going to help us answer key questions about which social platform that we're going to find our audience on. What kind of content are they actually engaging in, and how are they interacting with certain brands? So a few of the courses, as I said, but these are just surface level: location, age, gender, language, interests. What would be, if you are looking at your target market, if one or two people, what do you believe that your target market is made up, that you are looking to join your club? What is a characteristic of that person or people? I can always call somebody, but I don't want to do that. No.
Oh, I can answer. I know in our club, we have a lot of working class individuals. And when we were in person, we always had people that was in the financial district because our club was close, it was nearby. So I would say that is working class people in the financial and design industry.
Anyone else? All right.
Someone who's wanting to learn or has an interest in growth.
Yes. I know for me, as I said, when I came into the club, one of the things that, sorry about that, when I was looking for a club, it was how would they relate to marketing and business. So that's basically what I was looking for, a club that was based on possibly speaking on and teaching on business marketing and things like that. And there are people that are looking for clubs that they can identify and be able to use it within their work. And I'm quite sure I have never actually attended a corporate club, I just would think that a lot of the corporate clubs, that's one of the reasons that the clubs are there. I'm sorry, that's my child calling me. So that was one of my things when I started, was that I was looking for someone, a club that I could relate to business wise. People no longer fit into one category, or that we used at one time, where people would be clumped in one category. So that means that we must connect with them on a more profound level. That means we must be transcending the standard marketing demographics of age, gender, language, location, and interests. So again, there are certain questions that we would ask when we are looking at our target audience. We need to investigate their needs, their experiences, their value, and also their perception. That means that sometimes it's conducting surveys and interviews, and we may not do this, and I'm not sure if we would use this. So this may apply more to a business. I know it's some of the things that I do with some of my clients, especially the speaker. They have a couple of businesses that are speaking memberships, and that's one of the things that they do. They do these surveys to collect information on people that may be interested in joining the club. So some of the questions that we may ask ourselves is, what would motivate their actions? What make them who they are? Or what do they have in common with our club? How can I speak my message? or even write my message in a way that will be relevant to the people that I'm trying to reach? Is there some value in my club for them? And what is that value? Why do they actually need my club? Let's talk a little bit more about goals. Once we have a purpose and we know to our audience, we can set goals. When you know who you are trying to reach, and when you know what you are trying to achieve, you can set a benchmark for measurement. This benchmark can also help us with our strategy. And also, if we decide that we want to use Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads, we'll need a budget. So it also will help us to come up with this strategy and also our budgets. Examples of some goals that you may have is that maybe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Checklist for establishing. I'm sorry, but it went faster. I'm sorry. We'll go back to that because I skipped that. I truly apologize. My brain is still messed up. But we've already, some of the goals that we've already talked about the goals. So now we're going to talk about establishing a brand basics. But before we move on, are there any clubs that have already set goals for your clubs? Well, I would think that would be all of us.
To be honest, I mean, I think with our club, we only think about events and that's about it, you know, and then, you know, hopefully we can get more members, you know, more guests to come. But I think this is great to think about it, you know, is to have a goal, especially when we do moments of truth. I think moments of truth is like the first thing is to see where our club is and, you know, and what are we lacking? And then we set a goal around that.
Some of our goals may be that we want to increase event attendance or participation. We may want to increase the community awareness of our clubs. Maybe we just want to increase meaningful engagement online. We have our online clubs now, so possibly our social media will reach out to those that don't want to come into a club, but they'll be willing to do online. We want to reach the groups with content that will address their full needs. And also one of the goals may be that I want to improve the lives of others that will be coming into my club. We're going to talk a little bit about brands. How many clubs have brands for their clubs? In other words, how do you want your organization to be known? This would be your brand. Anyone? There are 3 areas that we need to look at when we are establishing or looking at branding our clubs. Some of that, if for branding, it would be a branding checklist that we would need to put together. That branding checklist need to include certain items. You would brainstorm some of your social media's outlets, and because that's going to help you when you communicate your brand purpose. But you also want to check the availability of the clubs that, or not the clubs, but the media that you want to use for your club. You should have a branding checklist. That checklist should, and this is going to be, these will be rolled out in the manual, but your branding checklist should also include how are you going to promote awareness of your club? How can you foster emotional connections with others? It should communicate your mission and your value. How many of us have a mission statement in our clubs? Just raise your hand. The checklist should also encourage brand ambassadors. It should share expectations, your expectations for those that you are going to serve. Your brand should also have a strategic direction for your team and also set the clear objectives and goals. And I'm assuming that our VPRs are working with someone else, possibly to help with the load. I shouldn't use load, but help with the work that you need to do. And also, it could be that you've taken somebody under your wings that you are going to mentor them through so that they might possibly become the next VPPR in your club. Your brand basics means that you should have a logo. You should know what your logo color is. What type of text will you use, the images for your club? What are there certain designs that you want? This all should be part of your brand. It should have the tone of your club's voice. Your brand strategy should define your club's message and how to say it. Your brand guidelines should be written out. They should be visible so that you and your club members are able to see it. And then you want to make sure that for your brand that you are staying consistent across all of your platforms. If you are on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, or even Facebook, do you use the same name consistently? You don't want to be Club A here and then Club BCD on another platform. You want to make sure that on all of your platforms that you are staying consistent, using the same name, the same profile, your same photo, and your design should be consistent across all of your platforms. Your headline, your blurb, or your bio for that club, you want to make sure that it's consistent. Your voice or tone, is it consistent? Do you change it up every week or something, or are you using whatever your tone may be, your voice? Are you a voice is of mothers, is a Toastmaster Club for mothers, or single meaning, whatever it may be? What is your voice or your tone of your club? You want to make sure that you say what you do clearly about your club, your mission, and your brand story. I know that I don't think a lot of people use brand stories, but the brand story is basically telling the why, what it's a brand. Your brand could be that you are a corporate club for, how many corporate clubs we have? I don't know, but I don't know, maybe Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I think that's a corporate club. So your brand may be built something around what it is that Blue Cross and Blue Shield does for interest. So your digital brand is an extension of your club brands and voice. into the online world. And the brand is also how people will perceive you. Does any of us have any of us already developed a brand for our clubs?
Yeah, South Loop Speak Freaks have done that. When you go to all our different social media channels, you'll see like the same photo. Now, maybe you probably won't see that, I don't know, maybe Twitter, because sometimes it's a little bit tiny, the little circle, but you can tell that it belongs to South Loop Speak Freaks. Same thing with D103 social media channels. They all look the same. You know that that's Twitter, but it's D103 Toastmaster. It doesn't have like a difference in the brand.
Mhm,
Mhm.
exactly. Which platforms do you think are used most for our clubs? And looking and researching, it looked to me as Facebook is used quite often for a lot of our clubs.
And Meetup for our club too.
That's true. I have heard about meetup groups. So, but there are quite a few of social media platforms, and we need to, for our social media platforms and what we want to use, we need to find out where those that we want to reach are.
I have
What
a question.
platforms are they on? So, yes.
Yeah, I was noticing, I was doing a presentation today for a corporate club. It was Wells Fargo. And I noticed that a lot of the corporate clubs, they don't utilize the intranet, which will help them through a lot of different things like their newsletter, anything they're trying to get out for the people that are part of that particular organization. They don't market like that. And I brought it to their attention today, and they were astounded that they could even do that. And it's a simple process. You just have to find out who's manning that part of the site. In every company, there's a person that is in charge of that. And it's just a matter of asking the question. And once you ask that question, you'll know exactly how you can do all of your promotions to people that you're trying to bring in as new members that are already a part of the organization. I just found that to be a little bit disheartening to find that out today.
And I noticed, and with that being said, I know that there are a lot of actually home-based and online business that use that intranet quite often. So you're right, it would be very beneficial for our corporations to use it also. So, and that just goes to say that we need to know where our people are and how we can reach them. And you have all those people sitting there that you are able to reach out through a media that you already have. So most of us know what the different platforms are. So I won't take time and go through a lot of those. We'll talk about a few of them, but we want to make sure that when we are using our platform online, that we're using it to speak the language that our people speak. It's easy for us to become overwhelmed by the possibilities of all the possibilities that's out here for social media platform. That's why we want to start with just a few of them, because it would only make sense that we don't overwhelm ourselves, that we don't throw ourselves off by trying to do too many and by spreading ourselves thin. By starting off with a few, it makes sense that our club and our messages are based upon what our goals are. So once again, pick a few platforms and learn how to do them well. Then you can start stretching out once you do that. And your message will not get the results that you want if you aren't targeting yourself. And then there's also what's known as a rule of 7 in marketing. That rule says that a person needs to be exposed to a message at least 7 times before they'll take an action, whether it is to register for our club, attend an event that we may have, or even sometimes even just to ask for information. So the rule is 7 times. Everyone included in our audience experienced marketing, messages, and content overload. And how many of us receive newsletters all day long that we don't even open up? So that means that we need to also find a way that we're going to stand out in our messaging also. So that's because that's where the challenge is. To cut through this challenge, we have to utilize a multiple channel, multiple platform approach. But we must remember that our platform can refer to different kinds of social media. Again, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, which a lot of times we leave LinkedIn out, but I'm in favor of LinkedIn because of the audience that you're going to get. There are a lot also too. You have more, it's more for the working class, I would say. So truly effective communication strategy works across all channels and platforms to reach people where they are, conveying one consistent goal or message. And this is often referred to as integrated marketing. Yes, Prince.
Now, it's quite interesting because a lot of times we get new members, not for our clubs here in District 103, but our home club in District 3, we get a lot of mail from Toastmasters saying, hey, here's a prospective member, here's a prospective member. What would you say would be an effective way to market to those folks?
That's a good question. We would also need to make sure that we have set a goal and also decided how can we reach these people. Now, one of the other things with that is that unless you also know some background, I'm not sure how your marketing would go with that. So I know that some of them will put in their messages while they're reaching out. So, but you would, and I don't know a general message. If anyone else can think of anything, a general message that you would use for that. But I would say that you do need to have, make sure that you are following up with them. And when you see that, answering them back, making sure that they get material of your club. And you may want to, when you send it back, maybe have a question ready that you can ask them to kind of give them you can get some information from, we are happy that you want to be a part or you want to join our club. Can we, what is it that you do, or what are your needs that you are looking to, and you would word it, what kind of needs do you have for speaking at this point? How can we enrich that or something like that?
Okay.
Anyone else have anything?
Sheila, can I add something to that?
Sure.
This is Elizabeth, and that inquiry that comes from Toastmasters International also has a sample response letter that you can send to that prospect. They're reaching out to International, and International is sending that information to us in that particular segment or area or part of the country. So that's a freebie. You are getting a person who is inquiring about Toastmasters. So you have the upper hand in asking them more about their goals, what they want. You want to invite them to the very next meeting. You want to get as much information as possible so that you can present the club in the best light, and of course, invite them to the next meeting.
Thank you. I didn't know that. I thought they were just coming. Look, they're finding the club and just sending it through the Toastmasters hole. Well, that's good to
No.
do.
I have a question for you, Ms. Presenter. What you are saying and what the two speakers or the comments that were made by the last two speakers, it's a very important statement each one of them made. I am finding that as people come to our club, I'm in the same club as each of them, but they're different clubs for one of the young people. But what happens when you get that information, it's hard for you to not pick up the phone and dial them first, because according to Toastmasters, you can't send emails to people without their consent. So that's on our site. So they have to opt in to receive that email with that information. And what I'm finding, by the time they opt in, it could be 10 days later. Sometimes it can be less than 30 days, but it's so long that you as well as the person may have forgotten. And when you try reaching out, there's no response. So it has to be a way where we can talk to them. When we talk to them, we can send something to them right then. Do you suggest that we ask if we can send information, even though that would be in violation of what we send out?
That's a good question, because I had no idea, because I was thinking
Good
that if
night,
they said
Bianca.
that we received a message from someone that they were looking for an answer, and that would give us the permission to answer them back.
Yes, but they can't do anything without, we can't do anything on our side. We cannot send them an email, because the only email that we will send to them is for them to opt in to receive the information. And as I said, oftentimes they don't respond to that right away with the opting in, even though you share that with them in that initial conversation. So I'm just trying to find ways to mitigate that little hiccup that is in most of the clubs that I'm a member of.
Because I know that those that I have received have had their information, their email address, and that's what I respond back to.
Yes, that's exactly right. But if you notice that in Toastmasters, they changed that rule a little while back. It's been about maybe 3 years now, where you
Okay.
cannot arbitrarily send a person an email
I will have to look
until they
into that.
opt in to, yes, I would like to receive these emails. And you could just send the emails along with everything else. So I'm sitting here waiting to figure that out, because I have two people that was extremely interested. The conversations were great and nothing.
Okay.
They've
I
not
will
opted in.
into that.
Answer that.
Do have
Sheila.
another hand.
I can answer that, Sheila.
Yes.
So in our club, what we do, if they're not a member and they share their information with us, we do communicate with those individuals, hoping that, you know, they'll become a member of our club. But if they are a member and they're brand new, we do put their information into the Free Toast host. And before we submit that, you know, like have them in that membership management, we send that email out to them and let them know you will be receiving an email that you have to opt in. So we don't, because sometimes they don't understand what that email is. So you're submitting something in your management Free Toast host, but you're not communicating with the member, letting them know, hey, it was great speaking with you. Thank you for your email. I put you in our system, our membership system. Please be on the lookout for you to opt in so you can receive our emails, so you can, know what's going on in the club. But you can still email them anytime. But when you put them in that Free Toast host, yeah, and that's just something that they have set up because of the global data, whatever that is for their protection.
Okay, well, thank you for that information.
Yeah, so I don't want to hold up a lot of time. I know we have two more. Before we go into questions, I want to make sure that Sheila, did you cover everything that you wanted to cover? Do you need like 5 minutes to cover a little bit more?
I was just going to, I had ended talking about the integrated marketing, so I'm just going to give a little background on that. We don't need to go through platforms. Those, if you have questions about any of them, you can answer them because we know the platforms mostly, so we don't have to do that. So I was just going to end by talking about what integrated marketing was. And that means that we are actually getting organized. An integrated communication strategy it's basically a streamlined approach which allows you and those on your team to be able to take multiple projects and integrate them into a list of communication channels. What that means is in order to get organized, your team may have a checklist where you are determining what the roles are and then dividing the responsibilities among the teams. Having a content calendar, which I'm going to make sure that a sample of that, because that takes a little time to go through a content calendar. I'm going to make sure that that's also in the workbook. And this calendar will allow you to plan across all of your platforms. You're able to, well, I call it batch. You sitting down and knowing what your goal is and who you're trying to reach. Your posts and things are based upon that. So you're able to sit down. Let's say if my business may decide that, well, we're going to take Sunday and we're going to just sit down and write our posts during the week. So then we're going to add them to this calendar so we know exactly when they go out. So, and it's also, I guess we could also call it batch posting, because I like to do that when I do my calendar, sit down and just put everything up if it's for a week or 2 weeks, however I want to do that. So just having a calendar, making sure that the whole team has access to the calendar. And the best thing to use, Valerie, for this is the Google Sheets. So that means that you have flexibility because you are actually scheduling your posts and messages in advance. So that's basically what an integrated communication strategy is. But now more than ever, I believe that we as VPE, but as VPPRs, that it's a great time to get our message out. And it's also a great time to be open to who are coming into your clubs. I mean, there are younger people now that are coming in and joining our clubs. So now is the time to go out there, strategize. I know we're getting ready to go into elections. And so these are some of the things that you can share with whoever will come into your club. And once I send out this little manual that I put together, you're able to copy it and share it. I have no problem with that, with the other members of your clubs. And that's all I have today. I once again apologize for being.
That's great. I just want to say thank you, Sheila, for sharing that wealth of knowledge, because I mean, everything is digitized now. And I like the fact when you talk about goals, and goals is very important for your club, especially as a VPPR, you know, and just knowing exactly, you know, how we're going to get that message across, who is our target audience. And so this is an opportunity for our attendees here who has questions. And we're going to have a Q&A until 7:15. And this is just an opportunity to ask Sheila some questions. And if you can raise your hand, the little raise hand, I'll be watching out for those that are popping up so you can ask those questions.
I have a question. I had in the past been taking photos of our speakers during the meetings and have done nothing with them except put them in a folder. Is it acceptable to show people, like on Facebook, what we need, like what we do when we talk? I mean, they're not videos, they're just still photos, but I don't know if that's something that would attract attention.
It would attract attention. It would be a way to interest people. But and I'll say, and I guess I'm guilty of this too, and I need to check it out. But as a person that works in media, we're supposed to have signed authorizations to use those pictures. So, and I really have to go back and see if there's anything written in our Toastmasters that when we sign on, if there is a clause or something that lets them know that their pictures may be used. Because I know I do programs for a building complex, and it's written into the client, actually written into the client's lease, that their photos could be used for some of the different things. So unless one of our, Valerie or anyone, do you know if there's that clause there? But I do know that to be legal, we need to be able to get a signed authorization from them.
Yeah, so like if you're in a club setting, you can mention, like say for instance, our club, we always taking photos or recordings or whatever. We do let the audience know that it's going to be recorded, or we're going to be taking a photo, and this photo is going to be on Facebook. So if you wish not to be in the photo, you just turn off your camera. So you can do things of that nature. Same thing with when we're talking about contests, we had to have our contestants sign that form that it's okay that we can put it on social media. So a lot of times people say, where's those photos at? We want to see those those conference photos, but we can't put it up there until we find out that that form has been filled out for those type of events. But for your club, you can be a little bit on the lenient side, since now we're on Zoom, and you just have to just let your club members and guests know that that photo will be shared.
So we've been meeting in person, and I have my camera with me all the time, and I've been taking photos. I've never had anyone say, don't take my photo.
Right.
And I'm sure they're wondering what the heck I've done with those photos. And I'd like to know what to do with them. I was thinking of just making a collage and putting it on our Facebook page to show the different ways that people stand at the podium or walk about the room, or we have our mayor became our, I forgot what it's called. He became a member of our club, and I have a photo of him shaking our president's hand, and I just never shared it. I feel so bad, and I don't know if but that's what I've been doing, and I don't know what's proper with those pictures.
Yeah, so like if it's an event, like a major event, I would say use it. But if you're in a club setting and it's verbal, I mean, by all means, you can still use it. Because it's just for publicity of your club. You can put it on your club website as well, where you can just because I've seen some clubs put their photos. They have a gallery, or they put it on the homepage. So, and then if people reach out to you, which we've had in our club, where they did not want their photo posted, we just respectfully took it down. Yeah. I see that, Martha.
It helps, Judy. But yeah, you can check more into that too. Yes.
I agree with all of what you said. And for the young lady who's doing the photographs, I'm a professional photographer. It's always a good practice to make that announcement at the beginning of your meeting or whatever your event is, that photos will be taken. If you wish to not be in the photograph, you could just they'll tell you, and you'll just make sure that you have a designated side that they can sit on, because the photos, you don't have to take them on that side. But just taking random photographs of members in the club, you're right. Some people will have reservation, because I ran into that, where I would take my camera to every meeting. I would do videos. I would do the actual, photographs when a person was standing up speaking, or whenever they came to the podium, and then random shots of the entire audience. And a lot of people will put that little thing on the side like that, and you know that they don't want to be in that photograph. And you just have to be really respectful of that. Sometimes people are going to be nice to you and they're not going to say anything. But the moment those photographs are published, everything comes out at that point. They start to see themselves and say, I don't like the way that photo looked to me, and I didn't like my hair on there. They have so many complaints on that. But because you've not published anything yet, that's probably the reason you have not heard anything. So I would suggest to you, go back and look at your files. And if you can get that release that they have on the district site, pull that release down and just have people sign that as they come into the room, letting them know if they don't want to be in the photographs, they can sit on this side, and we're going to be taking photographs. And if you're in a photograph, here's the release. You'll cover it yourself. And then go ahead and just start posting them once you get all of that into the different areas. Like if you're doing it on Facebook, or like Valerie said, you could create a gallery on your page as a member of that club. And that's a place that everybody would go and look at that. It's kind of fun.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I know earlier, Maren, I'm sorry, I'm not saying your name correct, Jenkins. She had her hand raised.
Oh yeah, earlier, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is Marin. I think Valerie covered it. It's not, it was probably around the free toast host. It's not the only web hosting platform you can use, but we've had a hard time getting people to opt in. So we just stopped using the lists that you can use through there for non-members. Like you have former members, you have prospective members, you have guests. So we just email people directly. It's a little bit more work, but if you're having an individual conversation with somebody and you have their email, it's just an email conversation, then it's just a little harder to pull lists together than when you have an event that you do want to promote across all those people. Did that make any sense? I'm feeling a little off. I've been sick for a few days too, so.
That makes sense. Sheila, we do have a question here. Will you be sharing the presentation, the PowerPoint that you had presented today?
I'll share it. Anybody wants it can have it. Yeah, I'll share it.
Okay, great. Because I do send out an email, with the thank you and everything with if you want to share your contact information, I can put that information in there just in case anyone has any more questions.
Yeah, we'll do it.
One quick question,
with the
Madam,
manual.
Madam Public Relations Manager, if I may. I just wanted to ask you, Ms. Sheila, again, thank you. You mentioned creating personas, and in all candor, I'm a public relations marketing person myself, so I really enjoyed your presentation. But my question is, what are some ways in which you mentioned do surveys or do other things to get the data on who your club members are? But how do you translate that into creating a persona? What are some quick tips you have for that?
Well, the persona is actually just knowing the person themselves, what it is that they do, their makeup, their age, gender. Those are the things that you would look for the persona. Do they is there a commonality with them and our club? And I don't know which one of the, there's so many commonalities, but it's the makeup of the person that we are looking for.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but some of those are really interesting. I learned that in design thinking, and it really breaks everything down. And one thing I did learn from, it was amazing, a couple of years ago from a T-Mobile employee, he said, if you really want to know your market, you have to really understand Facebook and Twitter and who's all on it. And now you see everybody's on it. At the time, we had millennials that were on Instagram. Now we got baby boomers on Instagram. We got Gen X is on Instagram. So everything is like basically changing, but it's right. You're right on it, Sheila, that you do need to know who is your target audience, what they're looking for. And we know Toastmasters, I mean, everybody wants, of course, we think that everybody wants to be a better speaker, a better leader, but maybe they just want to learn how to connect and network, and because our times are changing. And I know Prince has his hand up.
Yes. Do you have any tips for clubs wanting to use TikTok?
That is, I'm sorry, that is, well, no, I'm not going to say it because I want to go to TikTok too. So I'm working on going through and trying to find out the background of TikTok. So I really can't give you any tips on that right now, but because it is something that I'm looking into and something that I want to do. Anyone else here use TikTok?
I know I don't use it, but I've seen a couple Toastmasters clubs, not in D30, but I'm seeing that there are popping up on TikTok and giving speaking tips. So I've been seeing that lately, but not a lot. I've been seeing more Toastmaster clubs on Instagram.
And Princess, when I get that information, I will reach out to you and share it with you. LinkedIn is all, I believe that LinkedIn is a great place for our clubs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you really attract a lot of members, I guess.
I agree with that, Sheila. That is it's so underused.
It is.
And I start to see people post things that didn't used to appear on LinkedIn. Like, oh, I have a birthday today. We say, go to Facebook for that. Do your birthdays on Facebook.
Yes.
This is a professional platform. What I love about the professional platform is whatever area you specialize in, oftentimes they will ask you to become followers of hundreds of thousands of people that are in that group. And you feel so honored because they've asked you to please follow us. I was like, of course I'll follow you. You've got a network like that? Are you kidding me? So we just have to learn how to get the most out of each of the different social media platforms, and to make sure that we become knowledgeable, even though we may not use it. I was telling someone this today, and I'm not sure if you all saw this on LinkedIn. I read a lot on LinkedIn because they cross all kinds of social platforms and tell you different things. For all the wonderful people that are creating blogs and using Facebook for blogs, guess what? That's going away. As a matter of fact, they're going to do it without us knowing it. If you didn't read about it already, you just heard about it from me for the first time. And I read it. I was like, what? What's going to happen to all these users? And they have a little line in there that says they do not plan to contact the users. How that is just, you just don't do that. I mean, this is a big platform that we're talking about. That's Facebook. They're no longer going to do the blogs. And I believe the company that does it there, I think they're tied to, I want to say Meta, M-E-T.
Metaverse.
Yeah, that was disheartening to me. So reading is so fundamental that you receive information on things that you're not even looking for. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for something else. And I saw that, I go like, I'm glad I don't have a blog over on Facebook, because my blog is going to disappear at the end of the month. And guess what? you're going to be looking for a place to do your blog, and it won't be there. You got to go somewhere else.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn, not only can you put your posts or your articles, now if they are bringing in where you're going to be able to put a newsletter for you. So there are things coming to LinkedIn, and there are certain things leaving from Facebook.
Yeah.
So I just thank everybody for being here and listening to me this evening. Thank you, Valerie, for having me. I will make sure that, and I'm going to make sure there's a section on persona. I'm going to make sure that that's also in this manual. So, but you'll get the manual and the PowerPoint.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sheila. So I know that I've been seeing a lot of chats saying, I want that PowerPoint. I want that PowerPoint. You are going to get that PowerPoint. You're going to get that manual. You're going to get the recording link. You're going to get the whole package. I know there were some individuals who did register who could not attend, but however, they'll get it too as well. But it's just been a pleasure, Sheila, of you sharing this information. The district is growing, especially with our VPPRs, and even those who are not VPPRs, and maybe you're thinking about being one, or you actually are, and you're doing double duty. But however, it's just, this is a place where we want you to come. You want to grow your skills, and then the main thing that Sheila did cover is knowing your audience, getting those guests to come into your club setting and to connect with them. Because without connection, and we heard this at the conference with Matt Kenzie, if we don't connect with them, they're not coming. And they can come one time, and if you ignore them, they're not coming back. We just have a list of names with emails, and we're just hoping that they come back. But however, I want to thank Sheila. She's part of my PR team. She is amazing. You see those constant contacts going out. That's Sheila. We work together, but it's amazing when you have someone that understands constant contact and design, but it's also really great when someone understands about digital marketing. And I'm glad that we had the opportunities to share with you, and she had to share with you her experience and how you can use digital marketing to build your club growth within your club. So our next VPPR Circle Education session is going to be June 1st. So we're going to be having some things that's going to be happening during that time. I know that an email was sent out maybe months ago for their social media challenge. So if you are using social media, make sure you are hashtagging D103 Toastmasters, logging in, when you had posted. I'm also a person that's looking around social media channels and just seeing what you're doing. And then we're going to have 5 clubs who are going to be getting a incentive. And then also, I'm also going to be recognizing my team as well, and then having a special presentation on that day, because that's going to be our last VPPR session.
I want to ask Sheila one question, because we're really into this whole thing of getting credit for everything that you do. Do you have an evaluator for the wonderful presentation that you just did? Have you asked anyone to evaluate it for you?
I did ask someone, but he is not here, I don't believe.
Okay, well, you have a plethora of people that you can choose from right here. And we want to make sure that you get credit and you can go into your program and basically and mark it off.
Great.
There is anyone to volunteer? I will gladly accept.
I will volunteer if no one else does.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you. I just hate to see people do these great presentations and not get credit for them. And it all adds up to your personal side as well as the professional side. And the DCP is so important. So I'll do that. And what I'll do is I'll go through and see which of these projects it can apply to your particular path. So what paths are you on?
Right now, I'm working in presentation mastery, and I'm getting ready to go to level 5 on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank everyone for being here.
Do we have her email somewhere?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, let me just share. Did you want to share your email, Sheila?
Sure.
In the chat? You can go ahead and do that, just in case anyone has any questions. You can always send an email to Sheila, even though I'll have it in the thank you. Once I get the manual and all the information, then we'll get that out to everyone. But at least you'll have our email. Right.
I think I sent it to you, Valerie,
Oh, okay.
instead of
All right.
everybody.
Let me go ahead and put that to everyone. Okay, there you go. Just want to make sure we have that and everyone can stay in contact with Sheila because she has great, I learned a lot from her and we share ideas and because I love social media, but it's great to be with someone else that loves social media too and how to make things a little bit better. And then also I like the fact that Sheila did mention, just take your time when you're in social media, just take one platform at a time and just practice. Don't be intimidated by it at all. It's not all about pictures either. You can write articles, you can write, you can even go on Canva and create little sayings, things of that nature. If you see, like I put the Golden Globe speech with Oprah, I put her on there because she didn't have any filler words. I was just stunned by The Rock. He just standing there at all. And we thought she was running for president. And she was just amazing. So things like that you can post on your social media to have full engagement with guests and then also your club members. And the thing that's so great about that, you will be attracting guests from around the world. I mean, that happened at our club where we attracted somebody from Australia and somebody from the district contacted me and said, hey, we have somebody who's visiting Chicago that wants to visit your club. Or you have business people flying into Chicago and when we were meeting in person, they just showed up. So these are the things that's the impact that you have when Sheila said consistency is everything. When you're consistent, you're putting fresh everything on your social media channels, keeping your website up to date. Those are the things that's very important. And that's what's going to make your club stand out. Yeah. So I know that we can be on here for another hour because that's how Toastmasters roll. But I just want to thank Sheila for a great presentation, great content. You'll all be getting that information once I get the manual and look forward to seeing you all on June 1st. And everyone have a great evening.
Good night, everyone.